If you love high-end Christmas decor but not the high-end price tag, you're in the right place. Today, I'm sharing 50 DIY Christmas ornaments that are budget-friendly, easy to make, and inspired by high-end designer ornament dupes. This is a full compilation marathon video of some of my favorite new and past Christmas ornament DIYs all in one place. Perfect to watch, save, and recreate this holiday season and many more to come. Hi, I'm Sonja, and welcome to DIYs with Sonja, where I share high and look for less DIYs, designer inspired home decor, and affordable holiday decorating ideas you can actually make at home. If you enjoy budget friendly Christmas DIY, designer ornament dupes, and easy holiday projects, make sure to subscribe, like this video, and save it for later so you can come back and DIY along with me. Grab a cozy drink, get comfortable, and let's jump into this 50 DIY Christmas ornaments marathon. And as always, happy holidays. I hope this video brings you lots of inspiration and Christmas magic. I haven't made many ornaments yet this season, so here we are. I found these pattern ornaments at Dollarama for $2.50 for a set of 3. I picked up the gold set and the silver set because they each had a different patterns, and I knew I could transform them into these Pottery Barn inspired Mercury glass ornaments. I started by applying silver gilding wax to all of them. I began with a sponge brush but eventually switched to a stippling brush because it helped push the wax into the details better.
Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing?
I have done Mercury glass look-alike ornaments before on my channel, and I will link that video down below because it was a little bit different if you want to check it out.
Christmas times, we'll be chilling and having a good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the windows and the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart.
Once they were coated, I mixed equal parts water and vinegar in a spray bottle and grabbed my black spray paint. Outside, I sprayed each ornament generously with the water mixture and immediately followed with a very light, faraway mist of black spray paint. The paint won't stick where the water lands, and that's why it gives the perfect Mercury glass speckled effect.
But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the sand. You ready? Doesn't matter, it is Christmas in my heart.
While they were drying, I grabbed my bronze gilding wax and brushed it on top of the ornaments for some extra warmth and dimension for the little caps.
I can promise Santa's coming to visit. No, he wouldn't miss this in Christmas times. Oh, and
Once everything cured, I added jute rope to each one for the rustic old-fashioned look. These honestly look like they came right out of the Pottery Barn catalog.
sunset, it is just getting better on a blanket with the skyline painted in blue. Ooh, yeah, that's what we do. We'll be chilling and having a good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the windows and the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart.
For this last project, I pulled inspiration from a huge mix of places. You've seen me redo thrifted rattan bells before. Those were a McGee & Co. dupe, and you can find similar style now at Pottery Barn and even an antique farmhouse. But this time, we're making our own from scratch. Well, somewhat. I had a ton of natural rattan left over from previous projects. If you're wondering where I get it from, it's just natural placemats from Dollarama. They're affordable and super easy to take apart. I'll link the video where I show exactly how to disassemble them in the description box or eye in the sky. I also grabbed the largest bell I could find at Dollarama, which was $2. You can spray paint the inside brown or nutmeg if the gold bothers you, but I decided to leave it as is. Starting at the top, I used the hot glue gun and wrapped the rattan all the way around, making sure the top hook stayed exposed. When working on smaller surfaces like this, you really do need more glue. It keeps everything tight as you wrap.
But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the sanctuary. Doesn't matter, it is Christmas in my heart. Here we go. All right. Now this Christmas, we're gonna dance. We're gonna dance, 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 come on. Dance. We're gonna dance, dance, have a good time. Dance, dance, all night long. We're gonna dance, dance, and have a good time.
Now you already know how much I love working with rattan. I made so many different pieces with it over this past year, from vases to woven pumpkins to even those rattan witch hats I shared last season. It's one of my favorite materials because it instantly gives you that warm, organic, high-end designer look without the high-end price. Anytime I have leftover rattan from a project, I stash it away because I always find a way to use it again.
Dance, dance, have a good time. Dance, dance, all night long. We're gonna dance, dance, and have friends and family, making angels in the sanctuary. Doesn't matter, it is Christmas in my heart.
Once I reached the bottom, I wrapped the rattan slightly over the edges so no gold was peeking through. For that little hook on top, I used a wooden ring and tried cutting it open with my small saw. It did break, but I was able to glue it back together and thread it through the hook or the loop. Then I covered it with a small piece of rattan so everything looked seamless. After everything dried, I used a lighter to burn off any loose fibers or glue strings. Then I took my Annie Sloan dark wax again, this time using a stippling brush and blending it as much as possible. It warmed up the entire piece beautifully. You've definitely seen me reach for dark wax a lot. It's one of my secret weapons for aging and warming up almost any piece. I use it on wood, faux rattan, painted surfaces, on bells, basically anything that needs a little depth or that vintage time-worn look. You can brush it on for a dramatic effect or blend it in softly for a more subtle finish. It just transforms everything and brings so much dimension to these DIYs. I styled it with a brown ribbon, but a dark green ribbon will look absolutely amazing too. Now it's sitting on my fireplace and I love how this one turned out. DIYs here, I will be using these clear ornaments from Dollar Tree. For this very first one, I will also be using black acrylic paint, gold acrylic paint, blue acrylic paint, as well as bronze acrylic paint. I will also be using some cinnamon as well as some baking soda to mix into the paint. To make the baking soda paint mixture, I will be adding 1 part baking soda to 2 parts paint, and then you want to mix that well before you paint. But before I start painting, I will be removing the tags off as well as these little hanging ribbons or ropes, because for most of them I won't be adding any ribbon, but for I think one of them I am adding my own ribbon to them to hang them on a tree. But you can leave these, or you can add any ribbon that you want, or you like just like me, you don't have to add, because I will be using them more of a table decor and shelf decor than rather on a tree. So once I have my paint mixture mixed well, and you want to mix really well so you don't have any clumps, I will proceed to painting all 3 ornaments first. Once I was done painting them, I let them dry completely before I move on to the next step. For the next step, I'm going to get my paints ready. I just add some onto the paper towel, and I'm adding all the other 3, the bronze, the gold, and the blue. And then I'm going to have each of them is going to have their own paintbrush, and I'm going to apply generous amounts of like just dabs of it, but generous dabs, and then I'm going to rub it in. I'm just using my hand to do so, and I just want to cover the area, in some areas heavier, in some areas lighter, so that way there's different shades of gold all around it. And then I proceed and repeat the same process with the bronze. Now once I start at the blue, I only do it in like 2 or 3 sections. I don't actually go through the whole ornament, because I'm trying to create that discolored look that some of the aged things have, like these ornaments, or even almost like the silverware, when it kind of has the different shades of blue in them, because they're so old. So that's kind of a look I'm going for.
Come on in, come on up, come on over for the merriest time of year.
So as you can see, you want the blue to be blended in well, so it's just, you just catch a hint of it looking at it. Now I repeat the same process for for the other two ornaments. If this is your first time stopping by my channel, welcome. My name is Sonja, and on this channel you will find tons of home decor DIYs as well as home reno DIYs. So I hope this is something that you enjoy watching, and you press that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that notification bell as well, so that way you don't miss out any of my future uploads. And I would love to have you here as part of my YouTube family. For the last step for these ornaments, I'm going to make them not only smell good, but I'm going to add another layer of texture to them by adding some cinnamon. So I add a fairly generous amount of cinnamon sprinkle onto them, and then I take a paper towel and I rub it off. I do not wait for the paint to completely dry. It's not necessary because you had blended the paint in so well that most of it is pretty dry, and this also will help some for when it's a little moist. It helps the cinnamon to stick. So I absolutely love the way these turned out. I think they're gonna look great on my tea card. You could also, like I said, add ribbon, hang them. For the very first DIY, you are going to need some oranges as well as baking sheet lined with some racks, or you can just put your oranges straight onto the rack. And we are going to be recreating these orange slices from McGee & Co. And as you can see, the set of 12 of them is $22. I had picked up my oranges. They were $1.77 a pound, and this was just under $5, and it gave me double the amount. You're also going to need some twine so you can attach it to the dried slices so they are able to be hung as ornaments. I am using half of them as ornaments and half of them will be as bowl fillers. So you want to slice your oranges about 1/4 of an inch, and I did measure just so I can get a guide, and then the rest of them I just sliced using that first one as a guide. You can put these directly onto your oven racks in the oven. I just thought it might be a little bit less messy if I lined my baking sheet with parchment paper, and then I added some racks to them. These are racks from our smoker, stand-up smoker, and they fit perfectly into onto my baking sheet. Once I had sliced all of my oranges, I'm going to add them to the baking sheet. Now you want to preheat your oven to 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Mine KitchenAid Pro Style oven did not have a 200 bake setting, but it did have a warming setting and proofing setting, and warming setting is at 200, so that is what I turned on for mine. When you are doing this project, I just want to let you know you want to give yourself plenty of time. I'm talking 6-7 hours. It is a very easy project to do, but it does take time. So if you do not want to leave your oven unattended, you have to be home for the duration of, and it took, for me, it took 6.5 hours. And then I had two or three of them that were a little bit thicker, and I had to leave those for a little bit longer. I have read blogs where they said it would take 4 to 5 hours, and some did it at 250. Now, some of them said not to do it at 250 because that's when they will burn a lot easier. Whereas if you do them on a lower for longer, they won't burn as quickly. So you do have to keep an eye on them once you are approaching that 5 or 6 hours. I would say at 5 hours, start checking them. If you've never done this, I would start checking them at 4 hours just to make sure, depending on what your oven is like. But before I put mine in the oven, I did take a napkin and or paper towel and just dried them all up, just the tops because they are very wet. And I think this does help the drying process as well. You can also use your dehydrator to do this if you have one, or your air fryer also has a dehydrate. Um, well, mine does. The Ninja Double one has a dehydrate setting as well. However, I would not be able to put all of these into my little drawers on the air fryer, so I chose to do it in the oven. And here they are. This is what they look like once they were dry, um, or baked. I did read somewhere that you could sprinkle right when they come out and they're hot. You could sprinkle some powdered sugar onto them, and they will give them a shiny look. However, I was a little bit afraid of doing that for storage purposes, that it might create some mold. While they are stored away. Not sure if that would happen. If you've ever done that and stored them successfully in a Ziploc bag with your Christmas decor, let us know down below. I did take a large needle and cut up some twine to the length that I thought would be great for hanging. However, I could not thread the twine through because it was a little bit thicker than the opening, so I did just wrap it around and pushed it through, and that seemed to have worked. You could also use a hot glue gun and just add a little dollop on top and attach your twine to that. I thought this was a little bit nicer looking than having that hot glue on there. I know that Mickey and Co. the price wasn't that astronomical at $22 for set of 12. However, this was um a lot cheaper, at $5 for the double the amount. And the plus part of this was it made your house smell so nice. And I think that this DIY, these ornaments are gonna look great with my theme. I'm going for more of a natural rustic look this year. I've kind of went that way last year as well, but I am focusing more on it this year than I did last year. Like I said, I love the way these turned out, and I think they are going to look great on my tree. Next DIY is another ornament DIY. I absolutely love making ornaments, my own ornaments for Christmas. I gift these, I use them myself, and I think the possibilities are endless. So for this, I'm using gold, brown, and red paint, and I am going to be recreating this glass iron ornament that are $12. Now, these ones are not glass because I do not want glass in my house. I run a home daycare, and that can be just a whole disaster with glass ornaments. So I picked these up for $1.50 at a Dollar Tree. And I'm also going to be using some flour. So the first thing that I'm going to be doing is adding 2 coats of this brown paint to 2 of them, and then I'm gonna do 2 coats of the red paint to 2 of them. Now, originally I was going to use a Christmas red, but I did find it was a little bit bright, so just decided to use a deep red instead of Christmas red, and the brown is called um, burnt umber. I think that's what the brown color is called. While the first coat was drying, I did go ahead and spray paint the little caps of the ornaments, and I use a dark walnut to do so. I just thought it gave them that vintage look. You could also do, if you have like what is the antique brass would look good as well. Gold would look good. Even just black would look good as well. I think it adds such an elevated look to the ornaments. So I did that while the first coat was drying. Then I applied the second coat of the paint, and then I did not wait for the second coat to dry before I dusted it with some flour. This is definitely not a new technique. You want to cover the whole ornament with flour, at least I did for mine, and then you want to let it completely dry before you brush it off. I've shared these type of DIY ornaments last year. I am doing something different after the flour is dusted off. Now, I thought I did show how I was dusting the flour off, but the camera wasn't on when I was doing it. So I'm just showing you how I did it. I used a bristling brush, a stippling brush, sorry, bristling brush, stippling brush, and we want it to be dry and clean, and just dust all the flour off. You can also use a rag to remove the flour, but I like this way better. Now, I was going to use, I have Annie Sloan Antique Gilding Wax, which is almost like a rub and buff, but it did not really work very well with flour on there. So I ended up doing just two different types of gold that I had on hand of acrylic paint. One was spun gold and the other one was yellow gold. And I kind of blended the two colors together on the ornament, not while I was applying it. And I was using brush, and then I did end up using a napkin or a paper towel to do that. You can do this any color that you would like. As you saw, theirs was a little bit more on the antique black kind of color, which you could totally do, and it had a little bit of sparkle, which you could add to it as well, if you didn't have sparkly black paint. But you just want to continue doing this until you blend the colors together, and you still want to leave some of that bottom color showing through, and the flower just gives it a little bit more texture. And here is what they look like all done. I absolutely love the way these look. And adding some ribbon to them definitely makes them look even more expensive. This next DIY is another fun one, Maggie & Co. dupe using Dollarama terracotta clay, and of course you can get clay anywhere. At Dollarama it costs around $2. I only used half the package. It was already the perfect color, so I did not need to color the clay. I started by warming up the clay with my hands so it was easier to mold. Once it softened, I placed it between two sheets of parchment and rolled it out about 1/4 of an inch. Don't make it thinner than that because it increases the chance of cracking. Using Christmas cookie cutters, I cut out some of my shapes. My inspiration was the McGee & Co. gingerbread cookie ornament set, which retails for $36 regular price and $18 on sale. Mine came in under $2. Now that the shapes were cut out and before letting it dry, I used a straw to punch holes for ribbon or rope. To help prevent cracking, I let them dry for at least 24 hours, placing them between two damp cloths so they dried slowly and evenly. Once dry, I added puff paint for dimension. I created dots, swirls, and little designs. You can be as creative as you want here. And once that dry, I added rope for the rustic look, but ribbon will look beautiful too. I tried using glitter spray, but even though the bottle was full, it wouldn't spray. I even used a pin to clear the nozzle, but no luck. Same issue I've had with this brand of spray paint before. If you know a trick to fix this, please share it in the comments. Even without the glitter, these turned out beautiful. Definitely a budget gingerbread ornament dupe worth trying. Next up, more ornaments. I picked up these plastic ones at Dollarama for $2 each, and I loved the shape. And I've seen them at Dollar Tree as well. I wanted to create a velvet look finish, which I showed in a previous video on flat ornaments, but this time I wanted to try it on these curvy ones. I used midnight green and chocolate paint. I mixed each with equal parts baking soda, and if the texture gets too thick, just add more paint. This mixture gives great coverage and helps the paint adhere, and it gives it a little bit of texture. After applying the paint, I coated the entire ornament in generous layer of baking soda and let it dry. And then I repeated the same process for the other ornament with mixing the paint, painting it, and then covering it with a generous amount of baking soda. Once dry, I used a dry brush to brush the excess off. This reveals the most gorgeous velvety texture, so soft and rich looking, and these paint colors were absolutely stunning. Let me know down in the comments which one is your favorite so far. For my last project, I made over 4 ornaments using the Moonshine Metallics paint from Dixie Belle. I've been so excited to try this paint on ornaments to see how they would look. Originally, I planned to use Gold Digger and Deep Woods, but once I started painting, I decided to add Steel Magnolias too. These ornaments were inspired by McGee & Co. high gloss baubles, which sell for $60 a set or $30 on sale. I'm using plastic ornaments that I picked up at Dollarama, but again, you can find these at Dollar Tree, Michael's, Amazon, really anywhere. Dixie Belle's Moonshine Metallics are highly pigmented, water-based metallic paints that give incredible coverage and rich luminous finish. They're buildable, easy to apply, and perfect for adding a high-end sheen to ornaments, furniture, and decor. These paints glide on smoothly, dry quickly, and offer that gorgeous reflective shine without needing multiple coats. They're ideal for creating luxe, designer-inspired finishes, especially for holiday DIYs. Before painting the last ornament, I wanted to show another technique: adding paint inside the ornament and swirling it around. I started with a little paint, added more as needed, and swirled it until fully coated. Then I placed it upside down in a narrow cup to drain the excess. This gives a slightly different look than painting the outside. So I painted one ornament the regular way so you can compare the both. I love the variations, and honestly, I'm obsessed with how these turned out. To finish them off, I added black wax and bronze gilding wax to caps for an elegant vintage touch. Here are all the metallic ornaments together, both the painted and then the swirled one, and they look absolutely stunning. Honestly, I'm obsessed with every single one of today's dollar store Christmas DIYs. Tree or just add them into a bowl with some greenery. For my next DIY, I picked up these cone-shaped ornaments at Dollarama. I think they were around $3.50. So, and I absolutely love the shape of them. I'm not sure what the name for the shape of an ornament it is. If you happen to know it, leave me a comment down below letting me know. I will just call them cone shaped, and I give them a spray paint. I spray paint them with white chalk paint. You want to have a lighter spray paint color if you're going to be spray painting, because of the next step. You want the next step to show, and the lighter the color, the more it's gonna show. So once they were all spray painted, I went outside and I picked up some dirt. Yep, dirt it is. So we're moving on from cinnamon and baking soda to dirt. My dirt was quite moist. That's how you want your dirt to be. Mine is moist because it was frozen and now it thawed out, so it was a little wet. You don't want full-on mud, but you want it pretty close. I do end up adding a little bit of water for my next one, just because I found that as wet as it wasn't wet enough. So you take the dirt and then you just rub it all over the ornament, making sure to get into all the little crevices.
Christmas times, we'll be chilling and having a good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the windows in the rain.
Once I was done rubbing it, I took a clean brush and just brushed off any excess dirt that I did not want on there. And then I proceeded on taking my gilding wax and adding some gold. This is called, I think it's called aged gold that I have. And I am just adding it into different spots of the ornament, rubbing it in with the paintbrush and my hand at the same time. And this will create another dimension, give it even a more of a rustic look. The key to the dirt and to this wax is to rub it in.
Ooh, we'll be chilling and having a good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the windows in the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the sanctuary. Doesn't matter, it is Christmas in my heart. Here we go. All right. Now this Christmas, we're gonna dance.
So I do love this look. I think it almost looks like it's old wood that was painted gold, or I don't even know, but they do give me the wood look vibe. So I repeat the same process for all the other two ornaments. Now you can be done at this point, or I went ahead and just gave it just light couple sprays of white at different sections. This blended it even a little bit more, and I just love the way these end up looking on my tree. I did end up adding some ribbon to them to hang them up. For my next DIY, I picked up these small picture frames. They were $2.99 and came in a little bag with other items from Value Village. Picture frame ornaments have been popular for a while, and even more so this year. I wanted to create one for my living room Christmas tree, which is still a work in progress. I took the frame apart, and recently I purchased Dixie Belle Moonshine Metallic paint in Steel Magnolia. I have used silver bullet in previous DIY, but this one has such a beautiful metallic sheen, perfect for holiday projects. I painted both frames and once they were dry, I added Dixie Belle gilding wax in silver with a foam brush, focusing on all the little grooves and corners. This gave the frames a soft champagne silver tone that looks so elegant. To finish them off, I glued some red ribbon to the top of for hanging, but of course you can use any color that fits your decor. I plan to add some cute Christmas photos of my dogs once I take them. For ornament number 3, I am going to be using some flower, some back to my white clear ornaments, and then I'm also using black acrylic paint. So I'm going to give these a coat of paint, let them, I'm not going to let them dry before I add flower to it. So I am going to be sprinkling flour onto them, covering the whole ornament with it. And then I'm going to let it dry. I will repeat the same process for all the rest of them. Now I also want to mention that you don't have to paint these with black acrylic paint. You can do brown, you can do green, any acrylic paint that you want. Once they had dried, I take a clean brush and I just brush off all the excess flour that didn't stick off. And then I take the same gilding wax and do pretty much the same idea as the first DIY. I take the brush and then I just brush it on and rub it, swirl it, rub it in. I am mostly using the brush to rub it in, but I will use my fingers where necessary. How much gilding wax you put on, that is totally up to you. This is how I like mine to look. So I repeat the same process for the other two. So as you can see, they are similar to the first ones, but yet different because the texture is completely different, and I just love the way these look. For the next DIY, we're making stunning textured ornaments. I picked up both small ornaments and these giant statement ornaments from Dollarama. First things first, I removed all the ornament caps and took them outside for a light coat of spray paint. This helps the next layer of paint or wax grip better. Starting with the large ornaments, I use Dixie Belle's chalk mineral paint in Rustic red. This is the most gorgeous deep holiday red. I applied one coat, let it dry. While that was drying, I moved on to the next ornament. For the second large ornament, I used Dixie Belle Silk Paint in Midnight Green. This paint is a primer paint and top coat all in one, but on shiny surfaces like ornaments, it usually needs two coats unless you create texture like I did. After applying the paint, I used the same brush to lightly dab all over, building a soft dimensional texture. While the paint was still wet, I coated the entire ornament with a generous amount of baking soda. Now I let this dry. Back to the red ornament. I mixed just a small amount of baking soda into the paint before applying it. This gives great texture and also helps with coverage. I have so many different ways to create Christmas ornaments with different techniques. I will link one of my big videos that showcase all of those ornaments at the end for you to check it out. After painting it, I covered the entire ornament with baking soda as well. Yes, this part is messy, but so worth it.
Hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Once both ornaments were completely dry, I used a clean brush to remove the excess baking soda. You can also use your hands to smooth and blend, but brushing first helps lift most of it off gently.
We'll be chilling and having a good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows and the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the sand. You ready? Doesn't matter, it's Christmas in my heart. And I can promise Santa's coming to visit. No, he wouldn't miss this in Christmas times. Oh, and the sun said it is just getting better on a blanket with the skyline painted in blue. Ooh, yeah, that's what
Next, I added gilding wax to the ornament toppers to give them a vintage brass look.
if the snow is falling or the wind blows and the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the sand. You ready? Doesn't matter, it's Christmas in my heart. Here we go. All right. Now this Christmas, we're gonna dance. We're gonna dance. Come on.
I also added a bit more wax to the green ornament since I didn't let the paint dry long enough. I didn't let the wax dry long enough and I smudged some of it. So learn from me and let it dry before adding it. Both ornaments turned out stunning, rich textured, and so luxurious, giving them that velvet finish. If you're loving these high-end Christmas dupes so far, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really helps my channel grow so I can keep making look for less DIYs for you. Would you make these in red and green or try another color? Tell me below. I think brown would look absolutely beautiful. Now moving on to the smaller ornaments, and this is where we bring in the classic Ralph Lauren tartan pattern. A friend printed a tartan design for me on rice paper, which works similar to napkins. If you can find affordable tartan fabric, wrapping paper, or napkins, you can absolutely use those instead. If not, printing on rice paper is a great option. Regular printer paper might also work, but it will be stiffer and harder to contour around the ornament. When cutting my strips, I followed the natural pattern lines, so some pieces were wider and some were narrower.
We're gonna dance, dance, have a good time, dance, dance, all night long. We're gonna dance.
I covered my ornament with Mod Podge. I only had the dishwasher safe version on hand, but any Mod Podge works. To apply the strips, I place them like across 12 to 6 and then 3 to 9, and then fill them in the gaps between. Don't worry if the ends are hang over. Once everything dries, you'll trim those and tuck them into the opening.
Have a good time. I think Santa's gonna come and join us in this song. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows and the rain is pouring. It will always be
After applying all the strips, I added another coat of Mod Podge over the top and let it dry fully.
Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family. Making it
Then I trimmed and tucked in the edges and added the ornament topper. I left the topper as they were, just with a simple spray paint finish, and I think they look beautiful. Mine did turn out a little rougher, the ornaments, than I hoped, because the rice paper tore on me a bit. So if you want a smoother finish, I definitely recommend trying fabric instead. But I still think these are charming and very Ralph Lauren inspired. These look. For the number 4, I'm back to using the clear ornaments again, and I'm using a glass or a mirrored spray. And the inspiration that I saw said mirror, but I couldn't find mirrors, so I did buy glass, and it did work. I'm creating Mercury type ornaments, so I'm using that spray as well as a bronze and a gold spray, equal parts of water and vinegar spray, and then you'll need some hair dryer as well. So I do 3 sprays of this. I did learn that maybe my ornaments were a little too big just for 3, so I do end up doing about 5 sprays. Swirl it around, and then I spray some 1 or 2 sprays of vinegar and water, and just swirl it around a little bit more, and then I blow dry it. And I blow dry it until it's completely dry. Now, if you happen to have a ton of water in there, you do want to dump that out. But the swirling is absolutely necessary. As you can see, I go back in and spray some more of that mirrored, because I just felt like I wasn't getting the look that I was looking for. But I think the 5 sprays was sufficient for the larger ornaments. So once you are done swirling it around, like I said, if you think you have a lot of water in there, you might want to dump that water out before you use your hair dryer to dry it all out, and you want to keep drying it until it's fully dried in there. And make sure if there is a little bit of water out there that you do not dump it into your hair dryer. Once that was dry, I give it a spray of bronze first, then I'm gonna do gold one for the second, and the third one I'm going to do the mixture of both. So I think I gave about 3 generous sprays in there, and then I swirl it around again, and then I use the hair dryer again and dry it until it's dry. I am amazed at how these turned out and how that whole mirrored spray works. So like I said, for the next one I do exactly the same thing, but for my spray paint I am using gold, and then for the last one I will be using the combination of both of them. I think these look so good. They 100% look like they came from a unique high-end store. Now for the little ends of the ornaments, I did take them all and I just sprayed them with my bronze spray paint. You can use any spray paint you want to paint them. I just thought the bronze probably would be the best choice for the ones, the colors that I have chosen to go with. And I wanted to also mention that for all of these DIYs that I'm using the spray paint color, the metallics do work better than, let's say, a solid paint color, although I will be using a solid spray paint in the next one. So this one was almost a bonus DIY because I had one ornament left over, and I just wanted to show you a different way that you can make the same Mercury glass type of ornament. It does end up turning a little different, but it's very similar. So I fill up a tray with water, then I do give spray of the glass spray, and then the bronze and the gold, but I'm also adding a walnut brown color because I just felt like it needed another color in there. Now I'm going to take that ornament and swirl it around. How much spray paint you actually spray in there depends on how well you want this covered. I did end up adding a little bit more paint because I did feel that I didn't have enough, so keep that in mind. So probably a bit more is better than less. And I think this ornament turned out very similar to the other ones, but I think the whole process was a little bit easier. For my next project, I am remaking one of my projects from last year. I had made several of these bells, and I found I wasn't quite using them, so I decided to take one of them and redo the look. There I have found several different websites that had these bells. The one was this one, which was about $30, and then I also saw them on Pottery Barns, although they were sold out. So I don't quite know how much they were. Mine was one of those bells that you can pick up at Dollarama or Dollar Tree. Sometimes they vary in the shape that they come in, but they're all pretty much the same size. So to create this look, you're going to need some thin rope. You can use thicker rope as well if that's what you want. I opted for thinner rope because that's what it looked like on the picture. And then I just wrapped it around and I went in a couple rows of it. you want to try and space them out evenly. I tried my best without actually measuring. You could also measure so that they're spaced out evenly. And then I mixed up some white acrylic paint with some cornstarch just to make it thicker. If you have some chalk paint, you could use that. I just wanted it to give it a good coverage and also give it a little bit of texture. And then I painted the whole piece with this paint, and it needed 2 coats. This was such an easy DIY, and I think it turned out great, and it's gonna look great in a little Christmas vignette, as part of a little Christmas vignette, or styled on a shelf. For this next project, you're going to need some sort of a Bristol board. I am using one that I had on hand, and I'm going to cut out some strips out of it, 2 strips, because we are going to be making this brass bow tree topper from McGee & Co. It retails for $22 US. I wanted to make this for such a long time, and I was trying to figure out the best way to do it. And then I did see Evelyn Hernandez do a similar look, so I thought I'd try it out. I try it out myself. So I am going to you could measure it so it's exactly the same size as the McGee & Co. inspo. However, I just eyeballed it. I did not need it to be the same size as that one. I really liked the look of it, and that is what I was trying to recreate. So I just took a piece and then I twisted it so that way the two ends meet, and then I into a bow, and then I did that with another piece. And so I took the one strip and I made sure that they are cut the same size. So one will be a little bit longer, and that one will be your bottom, and then the shorter one will be your bow. And then you assemble the bows individually, and then you put them together, and then you put the hanging pieces on it. This was so easy to make. You could make even ornaments like this, make them a little bit smaller. You can make them even bigger. It's all up to you. That's the beauty of making things yourself. You can customize them and make them fit your style or your needs. And you can also paint them or put rub and buff or whatever you want on them. They don't have to be the gold. You can paint them any color you want them to be. So now it's time to assemble it. So I'm going to put these 2 pieces together, and then I'm going to add the hanging pieces. I also cut a little diamond shape to fit right over top of where they were overlapping, because on the original piece, it did have, the one from McGee & Co., it did have a little, it looked like a little piece on top, so that is what I am adding here. And then I took it outside and I spray painted with my bronze color, as well as this is antique bronze, and then I also spray painted it with some metallic gold. Then while it was still wet, I brought it inside and used a craft sponge just to blend the paint all together. And once it was dry, I added a little bit of hot glue and craft wire to the back of it, so that way I can attach it to the top of my Christmas tree. You could also add a clothespin to it if you would like. I just love how easy this was to make and how beautiful it looks on top of my tree. Is another ornament, and this time I picked up these ornaments at a Dollar Tree, and I needed some green ornaments, so we're gonna be making some more suede ornaments, flocked ornaments, without flocking. And I am going to make them green because the tree that I added in my living room, I wanted to make it green. So I painted them all green. I gave them um, two coats of color, and between the coats of color paint, I am going to just add some of the iced cappuccino paint to my tops just to make them look a little bit more vintage. And I am using some wet paper towel to do that. I find if I'm using a brush, it just slides off. So I let the first coat of paint dry before I applied the second coat of paint, but the second coat of paint I did not allow to dry. I added some baking soda to them. I feel like these ornaments, there are so many different, different but yet similar techniques to creating them, and each and every one of them gives you a slightly different look. So, as these might be a little bit repetitive, but um, they're all, like I said, all a little different, and they do give you a unique look. So, I love mixing and matching these techniques on my ornaments so that way I can have a variety of them. And most of my ornaments on on a couple of my trees are all homemade ornaments, and they all look a little different. So once it had completely dried, I brushed it all off. At this point, you could, like I said, many different techniques. You can add rub and buff, you can add a sponge on, dab on a little bit of gold paint, but I am going to keep mine just like this. You can also spray some sealant on them so that way the baking soda stays on permanently so it doesn't over the years rub off completely. But I just love the way these turned out. Next DIY, I'm using these little hooks because I'm going to be attaching them to these things, and this is a foot. I assume it's a furniture foot. It was an odd piece at a thrift store, so I decided to turn it into an ornament, kind of like a finial ornament. I love these. I've seen them at Walmart. I think my Texas house has maybe a little bit bigger ones, but or my Texas home. I really like this. You could also use spindles. If you have spindles on hand, you can sand them down or paint them and hang them up. I use them as ornaments as well. I think that would work out well too. So I really liked the natural color, so I did not touch it. You could obviously stain it, paint it, or do whatever you want. Because my front tree in my house, and if you had missed my home tour or any of my decorating videos over on my home channel, make sure you check them out. The link to my home channel is in the description box. But I liked using I like the fact that it was natural wood because that's the kind of the direction that I want that tree at the front to go, a more of a rustic natural look. So I've been slowly switching out ornaments on there. It's it's a 9-foot tree, so it is a pretty expensive thing to do to switch out all the ornaments. So I've been doing it slowly, making some and things like that. So I think this ornament's gonna look really good there. So there was a hole there, so I put through the rope. Originally I was thinking of using the S-hook, but I've decided this might be a little bit of an easier way. So I put a little bit of glue into the hole, and then I made a loop, tied a loop with a rope, and then I pushed the one end of the loop in there, and then I glued it, and then I put some wood glue, threaded it through the little dowel on top or whatever that's called, and then I put a little bit more hot glue just to hold it in place while the wood glue takes time to cure. You don't want to obviously hang this up right away. You want to let it sit and wait, and that's it. Here are the supplies that I had purchased. Some of the supplies I already had on hand. So this set of blue and silver ornaments came from Dollarama. They were $4 for the whole set. I will be only using the silver ones. I really wanted ones that had a bit of like dimension to them. And then I also picked up 2 sets of these, so 4 altogether. These are from Dollarama as well. Dollar Tree carries them as well. They're a little bit bigger. And then some other ornaments that I had picked had on hand were the flat ones that Dollar Tree sells. I got mine at Michael's last year on clearance. I think the whole box of them was like $7, but you can get them for $1.50 at Dollar Tree. So I'm starting off with the silver ornaments. I am outside, and I just filled this bottle with some water, and I'm spraying it well with water, and you want those driplets to be on there. And then immediately after, I'm going to take my spray paint. I'm using dark walnut. You can use black. I thought I was using black, but it was dark walnut, and it turned out well. I don't mind the way they turned out at all. It did give me the look that I was going for. And then you let them dry, and that's it for the ornament. So you just want to give yourself some space from spray painting so you don't spray too heavy. And then I repeated the same project, same step with the rest of the silver ornaments. I also spray painted the tops of these ornaments with the same walnut color. I love how antique they turned out. It just elevated that silver look that they were. And I love how the little droplets show up on it. And I put some on my tree with some fancy ribbon, and then I just added some to my bowl of ornaments. Next, still working outside, I took the tops of the clear ornaments and I spray painted them with this antique bronze color. This spray paint came from your dollar store and more. Sometimes they have like odd looking colors, not your primary colors, and they are significantly cheaper there. I think I picked this up for $4, and I've used this several times already. I'm just using very little just for these caps here. You can do this with paint, just regular paint. You don't have to do this at all. You can just leave them silver. Black looks good as well. Some people have luck with rub and buff. I don't, but I don't actually have rub and buff. I have the antiquing wax, so maybe that's the difference. And now I'm back with this dark walnut satin color, and I'm spray painting 2 of these with that spray paint. As you can see, I struggled a little bit, so I put them in this container so they would not flip. So probably a good piece of styrofoam would work better. I cannot stand the sound of styrofoam, so that did not work for me. So I gave this a solid coat. You don't want to spray too long on one area because it'll drip. So we are now back inside, and once they were completely dry, I took out my crafting sponge, dabbed on a little bit of gold, and then I dabbed some of it off, and then I just sponged the whole ornament with that. I am using spun gold. You can use any gold you have on hand. So once it was completely covered, well, to the way I wanted it to, I took another sponge, crafting sponge, and this metallic brown color, and it's almost again like that bronzish color. And I proceeded to do the same exact process as with the gold. And once I covered the whole area again, I let that dry, and then I did the exact same thing for the other ornament. I think these turned out absolutely stunning. I just love the way they look. And again, I added the ribbon to hang them on a tree. For my next clear ornaments, I have had this tissue on hand. It is just tissue, white tissue paper. You can use any color you want. I really did want just white. And I'm going to tear it up, and we're going back to basics of crafting, and we're going to do some paper macheing. And if my memory serves me right, I hope I mixed up my paper mache mixture right. I just added some water into the flour. Once I had my tissue ready and my solution ready, I went ahead and started paper macheing. And if you've never done this before, you just cover either an area or the whole thing, and then you add your paper, and then you put more paper mache solution on top of it, and then you want to let it completely dry before adding more to it. And depending on what kind of a coverage you want, you can do two steps, or you can do more steps. I only did two, and I am so pleased with the end result. For next two DIYs, I'm going to be using the flat ornaments. I call them flat. You will see them in just a second. And for the first two, I'm going to use this Annie Sloan Old Ochre chalk paint. You don't need to use old chalk paint. This was the only beige looking paint I had. I was gonna use acrylic, but I did not have any beige color, so the chalk paint to the rescue. And then I'm also going to use ice cappuccino as well as brush gold acrylic paint, and you will need some of those crafting brushes again that we just used in the previous DIY. And for the caps, I will be just painting them with some gold color at the end. So the first step is to take the beige color and paint the whole ornament with that beige color. So once the ornament is completely painted, you don't want to wait for it to dry before you move on to the next step. So the next step is going to be to take your sponge. Now you can wet these, I did not, and dab them into the ice cappuccino, and then dab some off and just dab it, sponge it on the ornament. And you want to blend as you're sponging on because your other paint is still wet. And then you're going to repeat the same process with the gold as well before anything dries, so that way you can blend all the colors well together. Wanted my ornament to be a little of a lighter color. If you want it darker, I would go a little bit heavier with a darker color. And then while it's still wet, you take your flour and you cover the whole ornament with flour and you let that dry. And while that was drying, I went ahead and painted the same way my other ornament, and you will see how two of them turned out just slightly different. And that's the best part about making your own ornaments, not one is the same. So once it was dry, I took a clean brush, a bigger one, and just brushed everything, all the flour off. I like using the bristle brush for this. I think it works the best. So here is how that looks at this point, and now I'm going to put the cap on it and paint the cap. And here they both are on the tree. I think they turned out so nice. I just love the really different texture that they are and the look that they have. So for the last ornament that I'm going to be making, I'm using the same clear ornament and I'm painting it with that ice cappuccino, the whole thing with it. And again, before you move on to the next step, you're not gonna let the paint dry. So for the next step, I'm going to take baking soda and I'm going to sprinkle it on, covering the whole ornament, and then you're gonna let that ornament dry. So once it dried, I brushed the baking soda off the same way as I did the flour, and then taking the same colors that I used for the previous ornament and just sponging them on. However, I'm obviously sponging on the beige color and the gold color and just blending them together. This is just to show you how using the same colors what a different look it can give you. Just a couple different switching out a couple different steps and you get a completely different look, but still using the exact same colors, so that way you don't waste any colors that are left if you pour them into the bowl like I did. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed these DIYs. I absolutely love the way they all turned out, and they look amazing on my flock tree, which now consists of mostly DIY ornaments. If you guys do not know, I have a home channel where I share all my decorating that I do in my home, and the channel is linked down below for you to check out, and you can see how I showcase a lot of my DIYs that I make. I wanted to include this little quick DIY. I have a ton of these clear ornaments. These are from Michael's, but you can get them at Dollar Tree as well. And I just wanted to share with you a very quick DIY. I had these mini pine cones. Some are frosted and some aren't, and I just filled it up with them, and I just love the way this turned out. It's such an easy DIY, and these ornaments sell from, I've seen some at Canadian Tire for upwards of $5-6, and then there's a lot more expensive ones at Pottery Barn with similar. You can fill these up with berries, like I said, pine cones, or even just some of that cedar you can stick in there. The possibilities are endless. And to dress it up even more, I would recommend painting the little cap or adding some rough and buff to it, or a glaze, or anything that you have. I have antiquing glaze. I think that's what it's called. Yes, from Annie Sloan. So I use that as well, just to elevate the look of the ornament. You can also take it out and spray paint it. And then to go one step further, you can add some ribbon to it as well to hang it up. Going from something that costs under $1 to a very high-end look. Moving on to another ornament project. I did pick these up at your dollar store with more. I just loved the design on them. I didn't love all the glitter that they had. But I just want to say, when you come across ornaments that you don't like the color, it is the easiest way to solve that problem. You can use spray paint. I've seen stone spray paint and spray paint used together, which gives a really nice texture to an ornament, to antiquing glaze, to waxes, to flower, all sorts of different stuff. Like I said, I have a whole video dedicated to many ways you can upcycle an ornament that I did last year, but I wanted to just show you how easy it is to add this the color of your decor style to this specific ornament. I had champagne colored ornaments. I think this would be a rose gold colored ornaments a couple years back, but I'm kind of done with them. I'm more into earthy tones, the darker colors. So, but like I said, I loved the design of this one. So I took a sanding block and I sanded off as much glitter as I possibly could. I could not get it all off, but the majority of it I did get off. And once I was done doing that, I proceeded with painting them with first color and then the second color, which I will show you in just a second. So before you start painting them, take some either skewer sticks or any dowels, longer dowels that you have, and put them through the hole where the little end piece goes. You can even go another step and duct tape them, or use masking tape or painter's tape to tape them together, so that way it doesn't turn on you. I have had this shimmery gold color that I wanted to use, so I wanted to give it a try. I did just buy it. It was a brand that I've never used before, and it had come from your dollar store with more. It wasn't sticking to the surface as well as I would have liked to. I could have added Mod Podge to it first, probably would have been a little bit easier, but I wasn't looking for full coverage, so I was okay with it not covering it 100%. And then the last thing that I did, I took the little ends and I just added some gold glaze to them using a brush and the little the glaze from Annie Sloan that I have. And I think this turned out really nice. I'm using mine in a bowl, but you can again hang them up, and don't forget to use some ribbon or some twine to elevate the look. Wouldn't be a DIY video without adding some more ornaments. We've all seen, this is not necessarily a price dupe, it's more or less finding them in store. You've all seen the flocked ornaments. Everybody has them. McGee and Co has them. Pottery Barn has them. These are more pricier, but you can also find them at Michael's. I haven't been able to find them at home since we do not have Target or Hobby Lobby. So I wanted brown ones. I did find beige ones and black ones at Michael's, but I could not find brown ones. And to get the flocking material, it is so expensive to get it shipped to Canada. I've found them on Etsy, and I think for one color it would cost me over $30 for a little bag of it. So I've been trying to figure out a way to create these without the flocking, and this came pretty close, and I was quite happy with the way it turned out. So I started off with spray painting the ornaments. I had these flat ornaments on hand. I bought those on sale 2 years ago at Michael's. So they had come in handy for creating DIYs, and I didn't want to go out and buy some more because I want to use up some of my stash. So this is why I'm using the flat ones, but this would work for round ones as well. They sell lots of them at Dollar Tree. I'm using dark walnut. Again, I want to create that brown, although this dark walnut was a little bit darker, but it worked really well as a base. And then while I was spray painting, I also took the lids and I spray painted them with that metallic gold paint that I just used for the candle holders. And I think this just gives it that more of a high-end look. If these are painted, you can also use a rub and buff on them, or I haven't had luck with just going straight with acrylic paint. I find that it doesn't really stick on, so I always like to spray paint a base color, and then if you still want to add more color to it, a little bit of a different color, you can go in and it makes the paint stick a little better. Now, if you have seen a lot of my DIY videos where I create these type of ornaments, I usually put the flower directly onto the wet paint. But I watched a video on Instagram, I believe, and she was saying to let the paint dry completely, then get the ornament wet with water, uh, and then add flour. This way the flour is not gonna cling on to paint and pull it off, which happened to me before. Even when the ornaments were dry, if there was just a little patch of maybe a wet bubble or something, it would pull the paint off. So this just makes sure that that paint stays on there. So I did this. I took just a spray sprayed it. You could also just wet them um, with a brush, or just run them over the water, I guess, too. You could do that as well. It looked like the water was sliding right off, but the ornaments were wet. So I was able to get that flour to stick there. And you want to let this completely dry. And with it being water, you could tell uh, when it was dry and when it wasn't dry. So once they were fully dry, I took a dry brush. This could be just any brush, as long as it's dry, and just brushed all the flour off. Now, once I felt that all the loose flour was off, I went ahead and took some of my brown paint from Dollar Tree. It's an acrylic brown paint. I think it's called milk chocolate, I believe, and then just dabbed it with a wet sponge on. And this gave it that almost felt texture, which the flocked ornaments have. So as you can see, the base color didn't really matter in this case. You probably could have just sprayed it with water and then went ahead with flour, because the paint was completely covering it. Now you could also just leave it uh, brush off some more flour off and leave it, and that would give you a different look as well. So lots of choices here, and of course the color is also a choice. So I went with brown because that is what I wanted. Now I was finding that the brown was a little, I want to say, maybe a little darker, or too brown. So I am going to be adding a little bit of white to this as well. I was just trying to get it as close to the color that I had in my on my mind that these should look like. I just love the way these turned out, and I can't wait to use them on my front foyer tree, as I'm changing the whole look of that tree this year. For my next DIY, I picked up these Dollar Tree bells. They were $1.25. I'm pretty sure every Dollar Tree has these, and I'm going to be recreating this look, although I'm going to be using 3 bells, not 5, because I'm going to be making 2 of them. So I removed all the little embellishments that the bells had, and then I went in with, again, those 3 colors: spun gold, um, yellow gold, and then cinnamon. But I'm not going to be painting these. I tried painting them and I felt that the paint wasn't really going on as well as I would like. So I went in and then I ended up dabbing the paint on instead of brushing it on, which you will see in just a minute. And I had to work in stages for this. So I went first with the spun gold, and I only did the top part. The bottom part is a little bit flatter. So I let the bottom so I did the top part, and then I let it fully dry before I did the bottom part, and then I repeated the same process with all the paints that I was adding, although I was mixing the next 2 paints together and dabbing them together at the same time. But I did do one half first and then the next half once it's dried. So this project did take a little bit of time, but the end result is so worth it. For past few years, I have been obsessed with decorating with bells, whether that's the vintage cowbells or just any gold rustic looking bells. And so I wanted to recreate this because I wanted to add something to my outdoor wreath, and which is another project in this DIY video that I will be sharing. And I wanted to spruce up my wreath, but I also wanted to add bells to it. So I decided to make my own to add to it. And I am obsessed with how all those 2 projects came together and how it looks on my front door. So once they were painted and dried, I went ahead and got some rope. I have just some twine, and I also have some thicker rope that I'm going to be using. And I wanted to make like a door hanger almost with the rope. So I went ahead and I tied a loop, and then I went with a thicker rope and I wrapped it around and created a little bit of a longer loop at the top, just to kind of recreate that look that the bells or here had. And so that way I can hang them up on my door, I can hang them up on my banister, my mantle, wherever I choose to use them, if I choose to use them outside of my wreath. And as I mentioned before, I am grouping them by 3, and I'm making them 3 different lengths. So when you're cutting your rope, you want to make sure that it's cut different lengths, or that you tie a knot at a different length. And as I mentioned before, I just love the way these guys turned out. And I think it's such an inexpensive project to give you that high-end elevated look. Especially I I've decorated with these white bells before, but I am so feeling the traditional colors this year, along with some vintage and earthy tones, and that is what all of my decor in the house is, with some nostalgic pieces sprinkled in throughout. So if you ever want to check out how I decorate with all of these things, I do have a home channel where I share all that, and it's linked down below. So let me know what you guys think about these guys. For my next project, I'm going to be making a reindeer ornament. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you let me know if you know where this reindeer had come from, which project. And then you're gonna need some aluminum foil, just little odds and ends. You can be ribbon. I'm using just a piece of greenery, some berries, and a small pine cone, and then I need some ribbon. So the first thing that I'm gonna do, I will be putting some Mod Podge on here and gluing the aluminum foil onto it. And I want the less shiny side to be the front of the reindeer. So I'm going to use my Mod Podge that I had watered down. Who is pulled by reindeer on his flight? And you want to apply a generous amount. From house to house you go. So I'm gluing it to the shiny side. And I'm just going to take my craft knife, cut off the aluminum foil. How he's done in time. I just know seems to do just I'm just gonna rub it with my nail. I'll give it a little bit of roughness, and it's okay if some of this on the side kind of peels off. It gives it that almost like a rustic look, aged look. I'm going to add a little bit more on the antlers because they seem to be coming off. I'm going to go over the whole thing. I'm going to, while this is drying, I'm going to trim my greenery, and I'm going to trim a little bit off of the sides too, just so it's not so bushy. Going to hot glue it to the bottom. Now you can take some of this and put it even on the nose if you'd like. I'm just going to leave mine as is, and I'm just going to cut some ribbon. Just a little dab. And I'm going to hot glue it to the back. For my next project, you will need 22 clothespins that I picked up at Dollar Tree. And you want to take out the metal part, and it's quite easy to do. you just take some sort of pliers. I'm just using my wire cutters just because I have them on hand, and it comes apart. Then what the next part that you're gonna do is you will hot glue the two pieces kind of opposite to what they were, because as a clothespin they're this way, and you're flipping them and hot gluing them the opposite way. And you do this for all 22 of them. Okay, so now these are all ready. And now you're gonna take the pointy sides and gonna try and make a circle. There, and now we are going to glue them together. Thread this through. Now you could paint this any color you want. You could put glitter on it. I am using it for my rustic tree that I have in my front foyer, which is very natural elements on it, and I'm not gonna do anything. For my last project, I had cut up a branch off of my birch tree. It's a little wet because it's raining outside. And I am using these Dollar Tree pine cones. I have frosted ones and unfrosted ones. They're the mini ones. And then you're gonna need rope and some hot glue. So I'm going to cut these in about same length.
Hardly believe it's here.
And I'm going to cut them all in half.
The days go faster somehow, but no chance of that, my dear.
Now I'm going to hot glue them together by applying hot glue all around each branch. And as you can see, I turn my branches around so that way they're all, the white parts of the branch is facing out, like towards me. You don't have to do that. I just want the white. You can also paint it, but again, I'm going for that natural look, so I will not be painting it.
Like life was pulling my leg, the days gone snailing by, slower than ever.
I'm gonna give this a second to dry. So while that's drying, I have a thinner branch that I just cut off one branch, and then I got a thicker and a thinner branches on it. And I'm just cutting these little pieces, and I'm going to be adding these to the ends. I think if I angle them a little bit, it'll be easier for them to glue on.
don't have to wait no more.
So now that it had some time to dry, I'm going to take my pine cones, and I think I'm gonna go with my frosted ones. And I just want to glue them in a circle.
Christmas Day, Christmas Day.
There, and then on the back of it, tying a knot, and I'm going to hot glue that knot into the middle.
Best day of the year, I can't believe it's here. It's Christmas, Christmas.
For my next project, I am using some of this twine that I've had. I bought this at Dollarama many years ago and never ended up using it. And I had come up with a pretty, I think, pretty great little project, a little DIY, but I can't find my garden shears. I think my mother-in-law steals them from me. So I'm going to just separate it, and this will kind of make me figure out what size I want this, what I'm making to be. So I'm just going to use these shears to cut it. So I think this is going to be the size, and I'm just going to build on it a little bit. So I'm just taking out the thickest pieces, and to be honest with you, if I didn't find this in my craft stash, I probably would have gone into my garden and just cut up the little branches, so you don't have to have this. So I think you get an idea what I'm making here. Okay, so I'm going to hot glue the... Okay, so now I'm going to hot glue these just on the edges. I want to be fairly generous with the glue so it doesn't come apart on you, and the glue's not going to show because we'll see why.
And now I know what Christmas.
At any points you can add a little bits too, just so it stays down better. You don't want to bend it so it glues down. Just where it's naturally sitting, you want to add a little bit of glue. And now I'm going to build on it. So I'm just going to cut up a couple branches, and these can be different thicknesses. They don't need to be the same thickness. This is what's gonna make it a little bit more nicer. Okay, I think I'm gonna do one more layer. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry. I think this top one should be okay. I'm going to tie up this rope. I'm just going to put a dab of glue here, and then I'm going to wrap it around. Another dab of glue. Just put that there. And now I'm going to repeat that for all the other angles. Okay, so this is done. Here is the star. It has so many ways that you can use it. You can make it your tree topper. You can put it as a part of the decor on the mantle or on your sideboard. I just love how rustic and simple. So here are all the supplies I will be using for these DIY ornaments. And the first ornament that I will be working on are these ball ornaments, and this is pretty straightforward. I am using sparkling crystals and Epsom salt mix, and also just some red glitter. I did the mason jars in a video where I covered them with the Epsom salt and crystals, and I really like the way they turned out, so I thought, well, that would look really nice on as an ornament as well. So I did a cup of salt, Epsom salt, to about a tablespoon of the crystals. I forgot to take the stickers off the balls here. And the second, so I am using the tacky glue, and just covering the whole ball with it, not overly heavy, but enough, and make sure everything's covered because the glitter won't stick on a spot where there's no glue. And then I repeat the same process for the red glitter, and that's just a regular red glitter.
A swinging Christmas, just like 1, 2, 3. Ba-bow, ba-da-ba, ba-bow, ba-da-ba-da, ba-ba-dow. Ba-bow, ba-da-ba-bow. Yeah, ba-ba-ba-bow. Come on in, get together. Come on in, nothing better. So let us have a swinging Christmas, just like 1, 2, 3. So let us have a swinging Christmas, just like 1, 2, 3.
Here they are all finished. I think they look spectacular, and I like the way the light reflected on them. The second one, I'm using pine cones from the garden and these wood slices that I got at Dollar Tree, and those ball ornaments I got at Dollarama. I forgot to mention that. And just some twine, and I just loop it around and hot glue it to the bottom of the disc, and I also hot glued the pine cone to the bottom to the disc. And then one of them I put hot glue all over, and I used the same Epsom salt and crystal mixtures and just drizzle it over the edges, and I think it just gave it a really nice sparkling look, frosted look. I am so pleased with the way these turned out, and I'm glad I was able to use some of this Epsom salt and glitter mixture. The next one, I just took some white acrylic paint and just painted the tips of the pine cone, and it gave it a really nice snowy look. Like I said, these I was very happy with the way these turned out, and they looked really nice on my tree. The third one was a little bit more labor intensive. I am using the mason jar lids and some leftover materials that I had from Canada Day and from fall still, and I'm just cutting out circles, and I will be hot gluing them to the discs of the jar lid. I have burned, I think, 6 of my fingers doing this, so be very careful when you are doing this, because you might burn yourself.
Oh, it's time for Christmas. Oh, it's time for us. Oh, it's time for Christmas. Don't you know?
Once I was done gluing the material, I wrapped a nautical rope all around the lid, the outside of the lid, just to give it a more of a rustic look.
365 chances of the year to try to make it right. You have to see it clear. We all need a helping hand to put our things aside. It's time to take a stand with our eyes open wide. And we'll bring out the very best of you. Oh, it's time!
And then I glued the lid together. And then the last thing that I did for this ornament is I had picked up these stickers. They are die-cut wood stickers. I think that's what they're called, and I got them at Dollar Tree. and I just glued them on. Some of them are really sticky, but some of them weren't sticky, so I just added some glue to it. And then I just made a loop with some twine and hot glued that on, and I repeated the same process but a little bit of a different look for the smaller one.
No more jealousy, nothing we'll regret. You don't have to believe in Santa Claus to know what's right to do, fighting for a cause. Oh, it's time for Christmas. Oh, it's time.
I do love the way they turned out, and they look really good at my front entry tree. The fourth one I used some of those stacking blocks or jingle blocks, I think, and some large popsicle stick or tongue depressors, and I glued them together. I ended up staining them with some wood stain that I had on hand. You could paint them, you don't even have to do that. And then I also used the same stickers, the woodcut stickers from Dollar Tree, to embellish them. These end up at my front tree as well because they are so, love how rustic they are. The last one, I'm back with mason jar lids, but I'm not using the middle, I'm just using the outside of the lid, the rim, as a wreath base, I guess, and some of this boxwood that I had left over from spring, I think still, and I make wreaths. And then I also use some bells and some little vase fillers from Dollar Tree to embellish them. I also ended up using, I had some greenery left over from a different project, Christmas project, and I ended up making, the second rim was made with that.
Painted in blue. Ooh, yeah, that's what we do. We'll be chilling and having a good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows and the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the January. Doesn't matter, it is Christmas in my heart. This Christmas, we're gonna dance. We're gonna dance. Come on.
So there's that greenery that I was talking about. So instead of using boxwood, I just glued 2 pieces of that around the rim.
And have a good time. I think Santa's gonna come and join us in this song.
I will be using the red truck ornaments that came from Dollar Tree, some tongue depressors or large popsicle sticks. Those are from Dollar Store as well. And then this fabric that had come from Dollar Tree. I was super excited that they actually had them in my Dollar Store. And then a piece of cardboard and then some string, as well as this stain, but you can also just use acrylic paint if you want. And then I will also use Mod Podge that had come from Dollar Tree as well. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my cardboard into a decent square. Just really straighten out the edges as much as I can. And I'm using my Cricut cutter for that. This is fairly thick cardboard. I am just trying to make the edges as straight as possible. So that's good, and now I'm going to just measure it out and find about a half of it or so. These are obviously going to be fairly large ornaments, but that's okay. So I'm going to stain just the one side of 8 of them. And the stain that I'm using is a gel stain in Spanish oak by Old Masters. And you'll need a rag as well. If you're looking for some decorate with me videos, make sure you head on over to my home channel. I posted my very first decorate with me video. I have decorated my front foyer and I'm really excited with the way it turned out. It needs a couple more things, but I will leave some stuff for my home tour, so there are a couple surprises during home tour once my home is complete. But I would love it if you had it on over there and let me know what you think. Okay, so they're done. I'm gonna let them dry a little bit. And now the next thing that I'm gonna do is I'm going to take these. Just want to make sure my hands aren't dirty. And take some of this material. It's a decent size. And I'm just going to measure out and cut it to size. Okay, so that's done. Now moving on to Mod Podging. You want to apply fairly generous amount. Front and back. You want to flatten it out. Now it's time to trim the sides. So that one's done, and I'm going to repeat the same process for the next one. So this had some time to dry. I will be hot gluing these on once my hot glue is heated. And you can use some of these lines as guides to make sure that you're gluing everything straight, in case if not always does it work out that you see straight. Okay, so repeat the same thing for the other one. So the next part, I'm going to use these little ornaments, and I'm going to remove the little hanging thing on them. I think I'm just going to cut it off with my wire cutters. And this can go really anywhere. It can go like this, it can go like this, you can put it right smack in the middle. It's really up to you where you want to put it. I think I might put mine right in the middle.
It's like they spell your name. It's insane.
And just to show you how it looks a different way, I'm gonna glue one here too. And let me know which one you like better. And now the last thing that I'm gonna do is I'm just going to glue this string for hanging. For my next one, I'm going to be using these ornaments, and I picked these up at Dollarama for $1.50 for 4. So this should be a fairly simple DIY, I think. I'm gonna try to make it as simple as possible in explaining. So I want to make a 3D ornament out of these, and you want to slice one of them up and one of them down. So I'm going to cut this one right there, but I just have to figure out what is the best tool for that. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to open this up and just slide it on. Okay, there we go. And now you can also just slide a little bit of wood glue or hot glue into the little crevices, just so it keeps it from coming apart, but it's on there pretty tight, so I don't think that that will happen. Now I have that, and I also bought some stars, and I will do the same thing to the stars. And you want to kind of loosen up any loose pieces so they're not getting caught when you're trying to slide it on.
no longer going away. Right around the mistletoe. I'm gonna
Okay, so this one was a bit harder than the other one, but I still managed to do it. So again, I'm going to just put a little bit of glue just to keep it in place. I'll let them dry, and then you can just add your string back for hanging. Actually, I'm gonna grab new string just so it's a little bit longer.
can hardly believe it's here. Been trying to make the days go faster somehow, but no chance of that, my dear.
The last one that I'm making, I'm going to be using these colored wood sleighs that I picked up at Dollar Tree. And they are nice ornaments. Okay, so, and these can be as elaborate as you want them to be or as simple as you want them to be. I'm just going to use a couple different paints for this job. I'm going to make them a little bit more simpler. You could stain them, you could really do them many different ways. So the first one, I'm going to paint the body with white, but it's going to be more of a, I think more of like a base, like a primer, just to cover up the little design. Actually, I'm gonna do it with black first, and then I'm gonna try something else with white, because black will do a better job of covering it up.
I can't believe it's here.
So I'm gonna let that dry a bit, and this one I'm going to paint the body with red. And I'm using Christmas red and just black. I think I'm gonna have to do black here as well. But I will do red on this one for the little sleigh parts, the little blades, I guess. And I'm going to take some of my red off and just go over the black a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna let that dry. And for this one, I'm just gonna dab some of this black off. There, and then I'm gonna go over with a little bit of dry white.
Come on over for the merriest time of year.
I'm still going to paint the sleigh leg, the blades part with red. But I have some of that black on, which on the brush from the other project, which I will just leave on. And it's okay if it gets on the little sides, that's fine. I have one of these in actual full size, and they're the paint is kind of mixed up everywhere, which what I kind of gave me the inspiration for this project.
before the clock strikes and it's all too late.
So I'm going to let that dry, and then for this one I'm gonna dry brush white on this as well. A little bit, but just in the little crevices. There, and then I'm gonna go full black on the top part.
The most of what we've got. So take your
I'm not really loving how almost pinkish this turned out, so I'm gonna go over it with some red a little bit more. And I'm just going to take some of it off. And then I'm gonna go over it with a little bit of black. And just take some of it off. So I think that's better. So I'm going to let these dry. I think for the top, I'm going to take one of these from this branch, cut it in half. I don't know if I love this. Cut it in one more half. Go this way like that. Not sure if I like that either. Okay, I think I'm gonna just leave one like that. I'm gonna break off one of these berries. Put it right there. I have these mini pine cones that came from Dollar Tree as well, and just trying to find the smallest one there. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side.
what might be under the Christmas tree. Oh, can I please, please have that back?
The supplies that you will need for all three different ornaments that I will be making are as follows. You will need some fillable ornaments. Even though I'm not filling them, I just needed clear ornaments. You will need a couple different paints, especially white one. I am using a paint tray and some paint brushes, sandpaper, Mod Podge, Jenga blocks or tumbling tower game blocks from Dollar Tree, some wood slices from Dollar Tree. Then I have these stamps with just different sayings and an ink pad, some nautical rope, some different pattern paper, and a drill. So the first project that I will be working on is with these blocks. So you will need blocks, you will need paint, you will need stamps and a stamp pad, a paintbrush, a drill, and some rope. So first thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to take 4 of these and I'm going to drill a hole in them. If you do not feel comfortable using a drill, you can always hot glue the rope. I am going to paint the blocks, but very lightly. I don't want too much paint. Once these have some time to dry, you can take a sandpaper and just distress the edges a little bit just to make it look a little bit antiqued. And now I'm going to take my stamper and my stamp. You can also make sure that the edges are clean before you stamp. Here they are on a tree. I think they look really cute. So for the next project, you will need the wood slices and several different colors of paint, and I will just pick the biggest, like the bigger ones, not the really tiny ones. And you will also need some hot glue for this one, which I did not mention. So first thing is I'm going to lightly paint the bodies. Now you can hot glue them together like this, and I will also cut a piece of rope for hanging. Draw the paint the face and the buttons. Hot glue the rope. Hot glue the body. I think this is my favorite one. I'm actually thinking about using this as my tree topper. It is a snowflake that I had picked up at Dollarama for $4. And then I have these words, "Let It Snow," and this was from one of those signs from Dollar Tree that I just popped off. Let me just show you what I'm talking about. So one of these, it looked like that, but I popped it off here because I have a different plan for this board. And then the fabric from Dollar Tree. Then you're going to also need some hot glue and Mod Podge or tacky glue. So I'm going to water my Mod Podge down a little bit, just a touch, just so it spreads a little bit easier. Take this off. I will add it back on afterwards. Well, maybe not. If I'm going to use it as a tree topper, I probably will not be adding it. You want to add a generous amount of Mod Podge. So if this is your first time stopping by my channel, my name is Sonja, and this is my DIY channel where you will find lots of different dollar store trash to treasure type of DIYs. I also have two other channels. I have a home channel and a cooking channel. And if you would like to see how I had decorated one of my Christmas trees, I already have it up on my home channel. It is my rustic, woodsy looking Christmas tree, and I do use a lot of my DIYs on that tree because I do like to make my own ornaments. Okay, so that's covered pretty good, and now I'm going to go with this fabric and just put it on, press it down.
The wonders of life got the prettiest side.
So I'm going to go over with the Mod Podge again on top.
I am right where I wanna be. I will be home for a couple of days. Wonder.
So there we go, and I'm going to let this dry for a good amount of time. So this had about an hour to dry. So I'm going to go with my sharp knife and cut off the fabric.
It's Christmas and some kind of love, my friend. I pray it will never end. Do you like to be here too? It's Christmas.
So some of the flaps aren't sticking, so I'm just going to put a little bit more glue, but I'm gonna use my tacky glue a little bit. Might stick a little bit better, maybe, I don't know. I know it does take quite a long time for this to set. Okay, so now I'm contemplating whether I should cut, but I don't think I will. I think I'm not gonna cut these slots out. I'm just going to leave it as is. And I'm going to hot glue Let It Snow on here. And it just fits.
Pick up some candy canes and hang a wreath on your door. It's Christmas.
To the back of it, I'm going to hot glue a good amount. You can even put Gorilla Glue if you want. This piece of garland, so that way I can just twist it onto the tree when I do my back, when I'm attaching it to the back.
It was the night before Christmas.
For my next project, I had picked up a package of these snowflakes. They had come from, I think these snowflakes came from Dollar Tree. There was a package of 3 of them. And I'm going to use some of my leftover fur. And, oh, there's another one. Some of my leftover fur. I think my dog had a little bit of way with the fur. But I'm going to try and take the fur and glue it onto here and then cut out everything. We'll see how that works out. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to apply all the glue that I need onto the snowflake, and I'm just using hot glue. And I'm going for the longer parts right now, and then I'm going to go over it again, just so the glue doesn't dry too fast on me. I'm going to take my cardboard knife and cut off the fur. When I got a bit better knife, hopefully that'll work better.
We forgot what you came for, and in the coffee shop just next door, we talked for hours on end.
And I'm going to add the glue to the sides.
From now on, yes, from this Christmas.
And I'm just going to trim the middles with the scissors.
From this Christmas on, it's gone.
There we go. I think that looks really pretty. It's a little bit of work, but yeah, I think it's well worth it. Now for my next one, I am going to cover it with Mod Podge. Put a generous amount on. So I have some coarse salt. You can use Epsom salt. This is pickling salt, and the reason why I'm using pickling salt is because I ran out of Epsom salt, so I want to give this a try. And I have lots of pickling salt. And I'm going to add my Spectra glitter. Mix that up. And I will leave a link down below where I got my glitter from. And now I'm going to just add it to the snowflake. So it doesn't have a lot of glitter, but it does have enough. I don't know, even though you can actually see it. If you want a little bit more, you can always go directly on it with it a little bit. And I think that's just a little nice touch of glitter. You can also paint the snowflake if you want, but I like the way it is, and I like how the salt kind of drips off of it to kind of leave it almost like looking like icicles. For my last project, if you watch my channel, you saw when I used this last time for my wrapping up presents. I'm going to make ornaments. I have some rope here that I'm going to cut, and then I'm gonna make a little dent, put some hot glue in there, and add the rope. Also add a rope a little bit around. So while that's setting, I'm going to cut my blanket into strips. I'm just cutting off the stitched end so it's not thick, too thick. And then I'm gonna take my styrofoam and just approximately measure the length. And then I'm going to cut all of these into that length. And they don't have to be perfect, just approximate. So I'm going to take this one that I have ready and put a zigzag strip of hot glue, and you want to work fairly fast. You are working with styrofoam, it will melt. And then you want to put some glue to overlap the edges. Try not to burn yourself. There is the the little ornament. I think some of it had melted a little bit, but I think it still looks really cute. Now I just thought I could do one in my Mod Podge. Coat the Mod Podge with, coat the ball with Mod Podge. To make sure that the whole thing is coated, and then just roll it.
Making our Christmas memories. I've been working so much lately, I can barely find the time to sleep. Yeah, I spend my time running around, keeping people pleased.
So I'm putting the little stuff over the hot glue as well. And there, I think that's nice as well. Shake it off so the all the ooh. Maybe don't hang it before it's dry. Just gonna hold it together, and then I'll show it to you what it looks like on a Christmas tree. The last one I'm gonna use tacky glue. But first I'm gonna hot glue the rope on, let that set.
I've been hanging marbles in the tree, and I've lived.
I'm gonna take my tacky glue, squirt it on, and then I'm taking that leftover fur and just putting it on. This won't be a quick dry, but I think it might work a little bit better.
These are the good times with you, baby.
I think these ornaments will provide different textures to my tree, which I love using different types of ornaments. Like I said, different feels, different textures. I think it just adds so much character to your tree.
Forget about everyone else. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memory.
So I'm going to let this completely dry before I hang it up. Well, I hope you enjoyed all these cute and easy DIYs. I think they turned out really cute, and I'm going for that, like I said. And that's it for today's video. I hope you got tons of inspiration for your Christmas ornaments and saw just how easy it is to get that high-end look for less using dollar store supplies. If you enjoyed these luxury Christmas DIYs on a budget, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on your bell notifications so you don't miss all my upcoming Christmas DIY dupes and decorating ideas. Thanks so much for watching DIYs with Sonja, and I'll see you in the next one.